What's up guys, Shane here from Fugatech 3D Printing, and today I'm going to show you how to 3D print some signs for your kid's bedroom. Welcome back guys. So this is actually a video that I've created these models for quite a while ago, probably about 2 months ago, but I'm just now getting around to actually filming it. And this was a lot of fun. So let's go back a little bit, nearly 2 years ago when I created that. That is Reese. It looks like a Reese cup. It says Reese on it, and I made that for my daughter when she was born. And the tradition here is that when you have a child, you make something for their hospital door to kind of show that, hey, they're born, this is their name, you know, things like that. And people will hand make things. I've seen wooden ones, and I was like, well, I'm a 3D printer, I'll 3D print it. So I can't remember if I did a video about that, but I talked about it a long time ago. And I wanted to make one. Well, I'm going to move this one to her room, and I wanted to make one for the rest of my kids. For those who don't know, I have 5 kids. So there's a lot of signs that need to be made. And there's a lot of techniques that you can use in order to do dual color prints, kind of like these. And when I first started working with these, I had recently received the Palette 2S Pro. And I made several of these with that. But that was a little bit of a challenge because number one, you have to have one. And number two, you have to model the files to work with that type of machine, because you can't just slap an STL down or do anything without doing some pretty major modifications. And I created all of these not from scratch, but from an SVG. Take it back, I made these as from an image. So what you do in Fusion 360 is you import these as a canvas. So you just get your picture, whatever you want. Here I have the Paw Patrol logo, imported this as a picture, as a canvas, and then I went ahead and made a sketch right on top of it. And then I just traced over it. And I kind of went over this for a few other projects that I did, but this is how I ended up doing this one. Now, the difference is when you're doing this is if you're going to do it as a multicolor print, which is how the 3 of these are, and then the other 2 are just basically 2 one-color prints, one on top of the other. So this is the Mermaid for my daughter Chloe, and this is basically just a pink mermaid that I sketched out, extruded, then wrote her name on it, and extruded that on top. And you just start one print, then that one ends, and then you start another print. I actually did that when I created the original Paw Patrol logo, which I don't know if I have anymore. I think one of my kids might have stolen that a long time ago. But when I originally made the actual Paw Patrol logo, that was actually created, it was simplified 3D. Every few millimeters it had changed color. I did a full tutorial on how to do that, and it seems to be very useful to a lot of people. Well, let's fast forward near what, 2, maybe 3 years since I've made that video. There's a lot of other ways to go ahead and do multicolor printing. So yeah, several of these were made with a Palette 2S Pro, and others were made with just simple printing. So let's go over the simpler version first, because I can kind of talk through that one, and then we're going to go into Fusion 360. I'm going to show you how I designed most of these, and then how I made it so that the palette would be able to print them, because it's a little tricky, but you can get there. Just got to kind of know your order of operations for that. And again, the very first version is basically you just create an object or add any type of outline. Here we're going to use this mermaid as an example, and then just extrude it up so far. These are all 5mm thick for their main layers. Some of them are a little bit thicker, but I try to make them all about the same. But this one is a 5mm extrude off of the mermaid that I made. Easy day, done. Then all you do is create another sketch on top of that, type in the name. Once that's done, pick your font. I downloaded, I think I found like a mermaidy type font for this, and I extruded that up. But I extruded that as the same body, so it was a join extrude, not a new body. Then you take this into your slicer of choice, and in Simplify 3D you can use their layer wizard, and you can actually go ahead and make a slice at 5mm. That creates a different file that you can export, and then once it finishes the first, you can print the second one. Again, video already done how to do that. In Prusa Slicer, you actually can go ahead and do your layer preview, and with the slider, slide it down to where, right as the layer that the lettering starts, hit the little plus sign, and boom, it inserts a layer change there, and it will force your printer to do an M600, which is to change the filament, pull out your old color, put your new color in, make sure it's coming out, hit go, it goes back, and it just continues the print just like that. Have to make sure both of those that you get that layer just right, otherwise you'll still do another solid layer on top of this, and then you just ruin the whole thing. Thankfully for small prints, it's not too hard. But that is probably the simplest way to do 2-color printing, is stacking your prints, stacking your different colors on top of each other. This also has no waste block. But if we take a look at something more complicated like these, it doesn't look as complicated. But when you look at the side here, you can see pink and then white. If you look at the side on here, it's just orange. because these are separate extrudes inside of here that the palette is able to do. And it does create a very small, for this one actually, it was a very, very small amount of waste, which was very good. In my kind of first look at the palette, I didn't show any of these because these were kind of a separate after those first, kind of figuring out prints. But actually the purge blocks on these really aren't that big, because there's not a whole lot of color that goes all the way through. I wanted to give a lot of 3D dimension to this project. And these are a little bit harder to explain, and I don't feel like doing a voiceover on that, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into Fusion 360, and I'll show you how I created just the basic shapes, basic models, and then how I created these more complicated ones. So this one is a red panda, I have the Paw Patrol, and I have this little train that I created for Lucas. So let's jump in and check that out. So here's my original one that I made for Reese, and again, it was just a Reese cup extruded up, and then I added Reese to the top, colored it the color I wanted to with appearance, which is really nice to be able to just kind of give things a color to them. You really can see the difference. And then I exported that. This was exported as one file, and when I got to the certain height, I did a color change, and then printed the other ones in different colors. So we're going to talk here about Chloe's first. You can see there's the model. I colored it pink with white letters. But what I had to do to start with is import a canvas. And that was just this picture that I found online. I was like, oh, that's a pretty good mermaid. I just kind of searched mermaid picture, and this is what came up. So what I did first is go ahead and create this sketch over it. We'll just turn that on. And I just outlined it. Now this is using the line tools. This is using the spline tool and the arc tool for pretty much everything. So you can see if I highlight these different sections, these are all the different connections that I made. And see, it's not exact. It doesn't have to be. Unless you're doing something that really has to be exact, it doesn't really have to be. I ignored her eyelash there, see? Doesn't really need it. But the one thing to know is that when you're doing this and after you finish, you should be able to select the object and it turns blue. If it doesn't, that means you have one of these connections not connected. And it is not a closed loop, and that doesn't mean you do not have a solid object. But once you do have that, it's simple extrude. Just like that, 5 millimeters up. There it is. Then I went ahead and created another sketch. Hide that one. Let's hide the canvas now because we're done with that. And I created her name right there. Picked the font, picked the one I want, and went with there. And then I did this one, or you could do it both ways. So this one I did create for the palette. I didn't actually print it that way though. So this is an extrude down that go ahead and cuts into it 3 mil up, and I just went 1 mil down. Then I extruded the same thing, 1 down, 3 up, and that just added right to the top of it. And then I grid those as new body. So you look right here, new body. And that way I can export this and print it on the palette, and actually will go in. So yeah, so then there's hers. Now you can export this as one. So if you right click up here, you do save as STL, you have options. If I do this as one file, it will combine all these bodies into one file. Or I can do one file per body, and it's going to export all of these individually, which makes it easier to put it into Canvas or to kind of mess with it in Prusa Slicer if you have the MMU2 or the MMU2S. So that is Chloe's. The next, that was the simplest one. So the next one up, a little bit more difficult, here is going to be Lucas's. And what this one is basically I created this from, again, a picture, a canvas, of just a train silhouette. I googled train silhouette, and this is what came up. So great, this is what I have to go with. So the first thing to do is to sketch it all out. And I have the train body as one, I have the train tracks here, well, the track, and then I have the smoke. One thing to note is that these overlap each other. So when you do your extrude, you gotta make sure to get this, because if you don't, you're gonna have a gap there, which is what we do next. We extrude this, and as again, you see there that gap was there, but now it's not. So I extruded the train car and the track as one color. I could have done this as 2 colors because I'm using this in the palette. I could have made the track black and the train blue and had the smoke white, but I chose not to do that. So I extruded that 5 millimeters. Then I went ahead next and extruded the smoke as 3 millimeters. But you see here, this is only joined by a blunt connection here. Well, that's not too great. That's not really going to hold on to it well. So we're going to get to that in a second. So next is create another sketch here on top. Lucas, we're going to scale it a little bit. So I can remove that. Now this extrude, again, does the same thing I did in Chloe's. I went up 3 mil and down 1. You directly can just go down 1 millimeter. It's fine either way. But you just need to cut into it. And there we have our cut. All right, so I did that. Now let's go ahead and tackle this smoke real quick before we extrude up the name. I don't know why I did this way, but this is what I did. So what I did is I did an extrude here. Now how did I do that? I went back here, I hid the train body, basically just did extrude here, and I pulled it down in like that. And that's a join right now, but if I turn this body back on, we're gonna change this to a cut. And there it makes my cut into the other body. So we hit forward on there. There's the cut. I'm going to go forward one more. I'm going to do an extrude. Now this layers the white and the blue over each other. So if you look from the top, it looks like the smoke's coming out of the smokestack from these angles. But underneath, you can see it's all together. It's a flat surface there, and you can see where it actually intersects with the main train body. And finally, we're going to extrude his name up. We do 1 millimeter down, 3 millimeters up, and that will embed the lettering inside the model. And there we have Lucas's. All right, let's go one more step, a little more difficult. Let's go here with Emma. This is the red panda. Again, all the way back here to the front. This is very few steps. You can see there's like 7 steps here to be able to do this. I started out with this canvas of a red panda. This is, again, picture. I searched red panda online. This is what came up. So, all right, so this is what we're going to use for it. We go ahead through our timeline next here. We're going to create a sketch, and I'm just going to sketch all this out. Now, the nice thing about doing one like this is that, so instead of drawing all this both ways, I actually drew half and then mirrored it over to this half, which you can just do basically copy, paste, flip it, and paste it back in, make sure that you connect your dots, because if you don't, it's not going to work out. But you can see I have 2 halves there, and this line right here, this was my mirror line. So when I copied it over, it pasted right on there, and I had a symmetrical drawing very, very quickly. It just took me tracing over half. Again, you can see the differences. It doesn't have to be exact, but you need to be able to select it so that you can have all these different areas. Now this is going to be a little bit different. We're going to embed these white colors inside of the orange. So on the train, you could see the colors from the back. This one, you're not going to see that. So our first step is to go ahead and extrude 1 millimeter. This is going to be the base layer of the model. Then we're going to go ahead and extrude right here 6 millimeters. I did it 6 to get 1 millimeter through the base and then up to the top. And again, so this is 6 millimeter tall instead of 5 millimeter tall. I was trying to get them all 5 mil tall, but hey, you live and you learn. But that's what I did. So I just did that though to this main big part here. This is going to be the orange. This is going to be what's way out there in your face that you're looking at. Then I went ahead and did an extrude, and you see the change there here. I go from here to here. This extrude is all of the white sections that I want to be up, and I went ahead and extruded these up 3 millimeters. One, so it can get through the base feature, the base layer. So if you look down here, I still have the base layer down there, right there. And then this is going to be 3 millimeters above that base layer. So now you can look at the bottom, and it's still, well, actually turn off the canvas there. There. It's still one piece. It hasn't changed. It's fantastic. We're going to create another sketch here. This is going to be for her name. Again, I picked a woodsy looking color. And then I did the same extrude on. This one I did differently though. This one I just extruded straight up from the top. I decided not to embed this. I would have a little bit less of waste from the purge tower, but it worked out well. And then the only last thing to do here is to color the bottom to be the same. Now it is encompassed, the bottom and the top, and you only have the white sections on the inside. And I thought that was a pretty interesting way and sneaky way to do that. Yes, let's save that change because that looks better now. All right, and now for the most hardest. This is the hardest because it is 3 colors, and there's a lot of different bodies that you have to make in here in order to make this look okay. So again, from the very beginning, we are starting with a canvas. And this is what I started with. So this, I think this was some type of like make your own like invitation or something like that, or like a cookie template. I don't know what it was, but I was like, hey, that'll work out. Let's go with that. So I create my first sketch here, and that is basically outlining this entire piece. And then I sketched over this paw and pulled it here to the middle. This is all splines through this. It's not exact, but it's okay. The printer will fudge it for me. This is all arcs, lots of arches in here, mostly all arches, I believe. I don't think I did any splines on the frame, but you can see I outlined the main frame here. This is all one big piece that needs to be. Then I have each of these individual insets, and then the paw itself, all those different ones. We can turn the canvas off now, and that is our main sketch. So we're going to do our first extrude. Again, this is 1 millimeter. We want this to just be our base. I want the base to be all one color. which is going to be blue in the end here. Let's go to the next one. We're going to extrude the inner pieces. Now I colored it so it's easier to see, but I only did this piece here and then these inner outer perimeters. So the bone, this top border, and this bottom border, white border, and I extruded those up 1 millimeter. Actually, those are 3 millimeters up from there. So that is 3 mil tall than the other one is. Then the next one is to extrude the entire exterior and the paw. And I raised this one up 5 millimeters, as you can see. And this is so to get through that bottom layer, so it's 6 actually, 1 millimeter to get through here, and then 5 millimeters up. So this one again is a little thicker than I was originally intending. But you can see the colors there, that is all different ones. And you see I can highlight them all differently. These are all different bodies. And if I open up my body section here, you can see all the bodies are stacking up real quick. But that's okay, it has to be this way so that we can make it multicolored. Now's the difficult part. Making text on an arc is not easy. So there is videos out there to do it. I'm not going to go through the process because this literally took me probably 2 hours to get spaced like perfectly. And that was with me making a circle, basically a one-sided circle from this point, or I think I picked this point here in the middle, and dragging it out until my arch matched this arch of the bone, which you don't really know what it is. And so you know this circle is 234 millimeters wide in order to get the same rough arch that the bone has. That's what I had to do to get that. Then this is, my letters are in there, and then all I had to do here was then extrude those letters up to be as tall as the tallest piece, which is up 5 millimeters, and then I combine those all into one body. I combined, this last piece here was to combine the, turn off the sketches here. So if I go back one, you see how the back plate and the top, I didn't do that in the last one, I just fixed it. Well, this one here, I went ahead and joined those together. Again, I learned something as I went through these, and I left this one to be last because this probably took me a good 3 or 4 hours to make. I could probably knock this out in 20 minutes to an hour right now. But when I first did this, it took a long time. It was very, very aggravating, but I did get there, and honestly, they all came out great. So this is how you do all these. I also made one other one here for Lucas. This is the original one I made to ask my wife, oh, should I do a car or a train? I already made this train. I thought it looked cool. I already made this car, I should say. I thought this one looked pretty sweet. So again, it's 2 different colors in there. Very simple to do. Turn my sketches on. So I just sketched it out, and then I just kind of extended this part here. So this would have been empty compared to what the car originally was. And that's okay. I just extended those lines in there, went forward, created another sketch to kind of fix up the front there. And then I extruded those so that I made that white. And then I extruded the main body 5 millimeters. So those are 3 millimeters and 5 millimeters. And I just put his name right on top. And that was it. Very, very simple to do. Super easy car, but all I did was, outline it. I did this one a little bit different. I did it within the base feature. When I actually did my sketch here, it's a little bit difficult to do, a little bit different, but you can see there's my actual base feature sketch that I used, and I can turn that canvas back off. You can see. So it works out really well. You just have to learn how to trace a drawing, and this is exactly how you do it. So if you're unfamiliar with how to kind of import these objects into Canvas, I'm going to show you that here real quick. So I made a folder already for the kids' door signs. So I'm just going to go into there, and I'm going to go ahead and click New Project. So whenever you're here at your interface here, what you can do is there's 2 things you can do. Add models, and it's going to tell you here, drop single model material models here, and drop multi-material models here. Or what you can do is you can just drag and drop. So single material models here, where you see I have 19 files, and multi-material. I want multi-material. So I'm going to go ahead and just drag and drop that. And then we're going to see here is Emma's little guy. So I want this to be orange and white. So I'm going to make extruder 1 orange, and I'm going to make extruder 2 white. Now, whatever the primary is, it changes the whole thing. Now, there's 2 ways you can color this. Number 1, you can just grab the white color here, drag it over to where you want it, and drop it, and you continue to do that. Another way you can do is drag it, you can drop it over here onto the actual file name, and because I named all of the files, I know what they should be. Again, or I can just drag it right into here.
and continue on. So like this. It's very easy, drag and drop. If you had more than one color, you can also do that. But here we have the different eye parts. I want white there. I want eye 3 is white. And then let's finish up the letters. E, M, and the other M. I missed it. M. Okay. So there we have orange and white. And you see here's my purge block. So you can go to the move tool and you can move the purge block wherever you want it to go. But default's fine. And we're going to hit slice. So it's going to go ahead and do all of our computations for us and tell us how much filament we're going to need of each color. And then it's going to tell us how many splices it's going to take to do how many splices it's going to use, and then how long it's going to take. I'm getting tired. I'm sorry for that. All right, so this is only going to take 3 hours to print. That's not too bad. So we're only using 10 meters of orange and only 2.5 meters of white. This is a total of 12 splices to get this done. That is not too shabby at all. We can go ahead and drag this down and we can see what it's doing. You know, that's only 3 mil in there of the white, so it's really not that much. It's only a couple layers worth. And then a final transition, you can see it goes just as tall as here. Because once it switches to only white, then it doesn't have to do any more purge. But if I was to extrude this down in, it would have more to purge in there as well. So yeah, Canvas makes this really, really easy to, honestly, drag and dropping colors is really not that hard. I really like it. So there's 2 ways you can download this now. I have Canvas Hub. I retrofitted a Raspberry Pi, just installed their plugin for it. I can send this directly to my Prusa Mark 3S right now, or I can hit the download. I'm going to get 2 files, a G-code file for the printer and a Canvas file for the palette. And then all you have to do is hit start on the palette and then start on the printer, and it walks you through how to do that. We're not doing that today, but I just want to show you what it looks like to use multi-material print, or how to set up a multi-material print inside of Canvas.
So there you can see, once you create your object in Fusion, really not that hard. You're going to import it into Canvas, and then you're going to make your different color selections for the different bodies. And then basically it's just create your file, send it to the canvas, and let it do its job. These do take a little bit of time, and they do have, again, small purge. This one's a little bit denser than what it was on the Red Panda. And then actually the Paw Patrol one had barely any, I don't know why, but the colors just didn't really have that whole much. I only had one problem with this one. I had a little bit of the red bleed through on the white, and that is because red is such a strong color and white is such a weak color. There is a tendency to bleed, and there is a place for you to fix that in Canvas. My kids are just cracking up tonight. I'm sorry. You just hear these giggles in the background. But that was the only real issue I had with this one, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna work on her wall. They're barely even gonna notice that, I bet. So only thing left to do these, throw a little bit double-sided tape on them or a command strip, stick them up on their doors, and then they all have their own little sign that I created for them. This definitely is an easy project and is a great learner project if you want to get interested in Fusion 360 and how to create a 2D picture into something that's 3D. Because these were just simple silhouettes that I found online, and I just traced them out and extruded them. Very, very simple to do, and again, a great way to learn Fusion 360, which I think everyone should absolutely start doing, especially times like this. Need a little bit of side project, something to do. You know what, open up Fusion, try something new, and get working with it. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. Either way, give me a comment down below what you guys thought about this project. If you want to see more like this, also make sure you do like and make sure you leave a comment down there, because there are several people that have appreciated more of the Fusion tutorials. Please let me know if you want to see those. These are a little more practical, but also a little bit decorative as well. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to stay tuned what's going on, make sure you hit that subscribe button, become a subscriber, and the bell icon. That way you get notification if I do any live streams or if I upload any new content. If you guys want to financially help me here on my channel, go ahead and check out my Patreon down below. Only takes $1 to join, and the money there goes right here to me so that I can buy new things, upgrade printers, and just create more content for you guys to view. Become a patron, get you access to after show and my Patreon feed on patreon.com. Other ways you can help out, there's some one-time donation links, buy me a coffee, Streamlabs, or there's a bunch of affiliate links down there that have you discount codes as well for a bunch of different vendors. Make sure you guys check those out, save yourself $1 or $2. I thank you guys for watching. Until next time, happy printing.